You're listening to the Practical Wealth Show with Curtis May.
All right, guys. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Practical Wealth Show. So I'm excited. I have a great guest, a really interesting guy that we met through a networking event, and his name is Robert Curtiss. Robert helps people sell businesses, find franchise opportunities, and he's a business broker. So he helps people buy and sell their business. And so I think we're going to have a fascinating discussion today about, if one business is an asset, and also acquiring businesses, why, sometimes it's not the best thing in the world to start from scratch. And so I think we're going to have some really interesting discussions today. So as you think about our process, we talk about the money for life process, right? Get money, bank it, borrow it, spend it, repay it. So today we're talking about getting money, how to get revenue, how to build cash flow, how to build wealth. And if you study people on the Forbes 500, 400, whatever it is, right? All of them have, mostly all of them, I'll say all of them, but no, all of them really at some point, especially new money, have a business as part of as the cornerstone of their wealth building tool. Most people don't get there by buying and selling and trading stocks. So Robert, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Good to be here, Curtis.
Great to have you. So Robert, tell them a little bit in your 2-minute or 1-minute background. Tell them what I didn't tell them, and let's get into what I think will be a fascinating discussion.
Okay. I'll go way back into the deep past. I have a master's degree in philosophy, which prepared me for pretty much nothing. Now, I ended up kind of backing into a business with a friend part-time, and we found ourselves 10 years later doing the same thing and sold off a pretty successful wholesale natural foods distribution company.
Okay.
So I knocked around a number of different businesses, retail, light manufacturing, distribution, marketing. And so I developed some knowledge about a lot of different kinds of businesses. And that's what really puts me in good stead to be a business broker. When I go in and meet somebody who wants to sell their business, if I don't already know something about that sort of business, I know what questions to ask. Okay. And my job is to package them for marketing and to be in their corner negotiating and make sure that they have the most successful sale of their business.
Okay, that is awesome. Let's talk about what you do first. I want to get into, so if you have a business, why should you use a business broker? And maybe even before that, when you are looking at a business that is sellable, that's the better question. Because a lot of people don't have a business, they own a job. And so what's the difference? So you got to begin with an end in mind. So if you want to build this asset to sell it, when they come to you, what are you looking for?
Probably the biggest thing I'm looking for is good books. And that there are a couple of reasons businesses don't sell, but one of the biggest is they just don't have good books. Or, and a lot of people won't be happy with this, they're hiding too much money. Everybody wants to hide some cash. But what I always tell people is, look, you can make it on the front end or the back end. If you've been hiding cash, you've already made your profit. Don't expect to make it again with a buyer. Because why should a buyer believe what you're telling them? They want to see the activity. They want to see the books. I look for a pretty organized business that's established, that's successful, easily taken over by somebody else. Here's what I mean by that. Some businesses, it is the business owner that is the business. That's what happens in a lot of creative businesses. Right. So when that owner leaves, the business is gone. For instance, if you have a restaurant where the owner is the chef, if he or she leaves, that's it.
Right.
But if you have a business owner who owns a restaurant with a good chef, that's a saleable business.
Got it. So you got to have, it can be so much personality driven, but you need to have systems so that if you're not there, what they're buying, really what they want to buy is a money machine.
Exactly. Something I remember reading years ago, and I don't remember who said it. They said, take your business, create an organizational chart, And your face may be in every point in that organizational chart, from the delivery person up to the president and the secretary and everything else. And they said, as you get other people to work it, you take your picture out of that, place in the organizational chart. Yep. And once you don't appear in that chart anywhere, you've got a saleable business.
That's a really good plan. I mean, because I was thinking about that today. What should I be doing? And how do I create a process to work myself out of a job? Now I really have an asset.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I have a service business. Mm-hmm.
I just talked to a guy this morning. He inquired about one of my businesses. And he said, you know what? I don't really have that skill that the business is about. He said, what I'm skilled at is managing. And I'm looking to diversify. So that's a perfect owner. You don't have to know about the specific business or the specific skill. If you have the right people in there, you need to know how to manage it. Mm-hmm. And that's what makes the business.
So if let's say you're thinking about it, then you need to be kind of, I tell you, a good resource is the E-Myth. I'm a big fan of the E-Myth, which is kind of like how to McDonaldize, I call it, your business, how to begin to think about that. Because when I hear organized business, I'm thinking systems, but you have to, keep good. Part of that is keeping good books, because you need to know, most people don't know their numbers.
No, you're right. I'm amazed at how many of the sellers I talk to have no idea if they're making any money or not.
Right. And that fascinates me. I had a great discussion. In fact, I talked to the person on the front desk at this dentist office. I had to go get some work done yesterday, and this made the whole thing worthwhile, because I noticed good marketing. So I said, every month, like, we want a drawing for like most new referrals or whatever. And then I look on the thing, and here's a new one, win a free iPad. And for the most referrals. And then she says, okay, we have a new offer every month, and they plan it in January. And she came from an office that has 400 new patients a month.
Wow.
And, and so she came, apparently the place has 2 offices. So she came over for that, and I can see them beefing that up. But I'm looking at that. So now if I'm a dentist and I want to buy a practice, I want to buy that one.
Sure.
You see what I mean? Because I know I've got a money machine. I got if you can market, you can print money, and then they've got, scripts for when you come in. They know what the value of a customer's worth, so they know how much they're willing to spend to get one. Guys, you got to know your business.
Right. A lot of people have no idea what customer acquisition costs are. They also don't understand what the cost of hiring is and turnover.
How many people do you find know that stuff? Out of let's say you talk to 10 sellers or 50 sellers, if it's a ratio.
Maybe 3.
Wow.
Let me tell you about 2 kinds of customers or clients that come to me. There are people that want to sell right away, and that's great. Who doesn't like immediate business? Mm-hmm. And then there are the people who are looking to, say, retire in 2 to 3 years. Well, I'm not going to make money right away, but those are the people that it's really great to talk to, because I don't have to just work with what they have. I can say, look, you want to sell in 2 to 3 years? This is what we need to do over the next couple of years to put your business in the best possible position for a successful sale, in terms of profitability, in terms of organization, in terms of clean book. It's great to talk to people a couple of years out. And where I tend to find those people are when I'm talking to an attorney, a business attorney, or a CPA, or a financial advisor. They know what their clients have told them. It's like, I'm getting tired. I want to get out of here in a couple of years. So having that lead time is terrific.
Yeah, I can see that. And even for you, it's what I call future banking.
Exactly.
I mean, those are, you got your immediate people, but
there's the hunting and the farming, right?
Yeah, right.
That's exactly. The farming.
You want to be a farmer, right?
Exactly.
And hunting is tiring. You're gonna eat what you kill. That's a very stressful life.
It takes a lot of time, and what everybody who's new in any business sees is that up and down thing, because you're hunting, you find something, then you're busy working it. but then you haven't done any more marketing. So your business goes down, and you need to even that out, that you're always out there farming and doing business at the same time.
Listen, that's the first 20 years of my career. Okay.
Everybody, I mean,
in financial
you got to learn it
services.
yourself. You got to learn it yourself.
You go out, you make money, and then you're busy, and then you're servicing the stuff, but then you're not doing you're not generating new people. So when your pipeline is empty, you're back at zero. So you go through these feast and famine, and this is what terrifies people about entrepreneurship. Or I'm working on a marketing program where we talk about this, because it's hard to be fully present because you're with your family or whatever, because you're always worrying about, okay, what am I going to do? I got new bills coming in August 1st. Where's my new revenue going to come from?
But it's true, but that's one of the places that organization comes in. If you're organized, if you have a system, if you get built to a point where you have a staff, even if it's a staff of one, that frees you up to do that marketing and to attend to not working in the business, but working on the business.
Right, which is your number one job as the entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Why would one want to buy a business? That instead of let me just start from scratch. I got this great idea. What are the advantages to buying a business?
The advantage to buying a business is you've got immediate cash flow. Say if it's a storefront sort of business, you know if that's a good location or not by the traffic. If it's not a storefront business, you know by the client or customer load where it stands. So you walk into a business that's already up and operating and throwing off cash. So you've got an income. And hopefully it's a business with enough income to also pay for the business as well as sustain yourself. Whereas if you start a business, you're not going to have a profit center for a while. You have to choose a location. You have to, buy equipment. You have to develop clients or customers. All of that takes time. And meanwhile, the cash is bleeding that entire time. And your idea may not be a winner.
Right.
Whereas if you walk into an existing business, you know that it's successful. Hopefully you've got some ideas where you can grow it, tweak it, make it even more profitable, expand it, but you've got cash flow to do that. Whereas in the beginning, if you're starting a business, you've got nothing.
It's funny you say bleeding the cash flow. You mean bleeding your cash?
Well, that's right.
Exactly. Because you're not like
there is no cash flow.
Right, there's no cash flow. It's coming out of your savings or worse yet, your borrowed money, right? And because you don't have venture capitalists that are dumb enough to float you through your burn rate like an Uber or whatever, where you haven't shown a profit yet.
Yeah.
But these VCs keep giving you money, so. We don't have that. So you have to make money right away. You need to, you need a cash machine. And so that's what people buy. And let's piggyback on that, because you also help people analyze franchises.
Right.
I want to kind of lump those. They're separate, but they're, when somebody's buying or considering, I got a client I work with now that's in the process of buying kind of like a convenience store type franchise. Okay. But why would somebody, and who are the good types? Because I have an idea of who I think that are good types for franchises. I want to talk about that. But let's talk about a franchising, and as just talk about franchising. I have another question, but let me not bleed that one into
about buying a franchise, not franchising your operation.
Right. No, about buying a franchise.
So, two things. One, you can buy an existing business. It's not a franchise. But if you just walk into that, say you've been in corporate for 20 years and now you walk into a business, well, that's a whole lot different. In corporate, you've got, deep departments that can support you with marketing, with HR, with all these other things. When you're the business owner, you're it.
Yes.
There's a skill in running a business that not everybody who may have been successful in corporate or in a larger organization has. So you can take a thriving business and run it into the ground in no time just because of lack of experience.
Right.
When you buy a franchise, what you're paying for is somebody else's mistakes. They've made all the mistakes. They've figured it out. They've got something that runs successfully now. Now, of course, you're also paying for ongoing operational support, and you're paying for branding and name recognition. There's a statistic, I don't know what the exact statistic is, but near 90% of new businesses will fail in the first 5 years.
Yeah, I heard that.
Over 90% of franchises are still operating after the first 5 years.
That's a big deal.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Because as long as you don't say about the franchise, well, wait, I can do this better. No, you can't do it better. They figured it out. You've paid money for a franchise because somebody knows what's going to work. So you just follow the drill and do it. And who franchisors, the people selling franchises, love are retired military and retired police.
Wow.
They know how to follow orders. They've been in an organization where it's like, this is how we do it. Follow the rules. It's going to work. They will actually usually give a discount to veterans who buy a franchise because they turn out to be the most successful franchisees.
Right. So if you're creative, you're like, oh, I can do this better. I don't like this color scheme.
Then don't buy a franchise.
Right, don't buy a franchise.
No, a franchise is for somebody who doesn't want to reinvent the wheel.
See, I see people, I think that, next economic downturn, I see people that come into money. Sometimes I see that instead of starting from scratch, it's buying into either somebody else's business, but also but here's the thing: when you're buying into somebody other business, most people I find, as a financial advisor, are financially illiterate, right? Meaning that they don't understand accounting, they don't know how to read numbers, and the numbers tell a story, and you don't know how to read the numbers, and so you don't really know. You can look at stuff, and so if I looked at a bar. Because my family was in the bar business, I can look at revenue and I can look at the cost of goods sold. I mean, it'll jump out at me, man. They're not profitable. People are stealing from them. There's something wrong here, and you've got to either get help or learn that kind of stuff. But once you can read financial statements, it jumps out at you like big red letters.
And familiarity with different industries, different businesses. Your cost of goods sold is a different percentage in different businesses. Your cost of labor, your cost of rent and utility. It's important for somebody who understands what should you be paying for rent, what should you be paying for labor, what should you be paying for raw materials, and it varies from business to business, whether you're a pizza parlor, a printer, or a dry cleaner.
Does franchising help with that?
Oh, yeah. When you buy a franchise, you pay for the franchise, and then you pay royalties. They take a percentage each month of whatever your earnings or your receipts are. So what I tell people is, they're going to get the royalties. You want to choose somebody who's going to work for the royalties, not just sit back and collect them. And a good franchisor, when they work for the royalties, what they're doing is giving you operational support. They're letting you know when you're off course and helping you get back on course. They're helping you with training. They're helping you with training your staff and even hiring staff. One of the first things they'll help you with is, if it's a new franchise, is site selection. They'll say, this is a good place to put it. This is not a good place to put it. Because they know what kind of traffic you want. Do you want to be in a row in a strip center, or is it important to be the end cap? Do you want to be freestanding? Or, they understand a lot of that stuff, and a good franchisor will give you that sort of support.
Yeah, like you're paying for their mistakes. They've done this. They figured this out. And, there's nothing new under the sun. So once you get a successful formula, then you can just keep, going back to the well and replicating it.
And most good franchisors that are established also have a forum that's made up of their most successful franchisees. It could be 10, 20, 30, 40 men and women. And they'll come up with a new idea or a tweak or something, and it has to go up the chain and down the chain. It could take a year or two before that change is made. You want to make sure that it's going to be successful for everybody before they roll it out.
let's say they have a job in corporate America, but they want to leave and they're thinking about acquiring, getting into business for themselves.
Right.
When should they start looking, and how should they be thinking about their finances and, just kind of getting ready to get ready?
Well, so are you talking about buying a business or buying a franchise?
Are they different?
Yeah, because let's talk about franchises first, since we've been talking about them. When you buy a franchise, you're going to put some money into purchasing the franchise itself. You're not going to have an immediate cash flow. You're going to have to rent someplace, maybe do a build out. Then there'll be some other costs from the franchise, like royalties, advertising fund, maybe a technology cost, but they usually don't kick in until like month 4, 6, 9, depending. They give you a chance to get up and running first. Mm-hmm. But still, you are spending cash to buy it and to operate until it develops. So there, you want to talk to somebody. Hopefully, it's somebody whose spouse has a good job, and say, look, it may not be the style in which you're accustomed to living, but can your spouse support the family for the next 3, 6, 9 months, until cash flow comes by? So that's one thing you're looking for, is a spouse who can at least keep things running until the cash flow comes. And then also somebody who's got the money to invest in both the franchise and the build out and whatever else is necessary. That could come from cash that they have. It could come from restructuring a 401k. It's not so that there's constructive receipt, but that they start a corporation and their 401k now buy stock in the corporation. That's one way. There are a number of ways to do it, but that's your bailiwick, not mine.
Right. Yeah, that's a whole other show.
I'm on your toes.
Listen, I like that. We have another conversation about that one. Okay.
So that's buying a franchise. Now, if somebody is buying an operating business, one of the things you're looking at is, what's the cash flow of this business? Will it allow me to pay off any sort of financing in buying the business, as well as supporting the family, and any other changes you want to make to the business? So there, it's different. You've got an immediate cash flow if it's a profitable business.
Right.
So that's the difference between buying a franchise and buying a business. You don't need as much support in buying a business as you do in buying a franchise.
That's interesting. I think that sometimes, like, one of the things is that as I talk to people, they always feel they need to start from scratch. Yeah. And, you can buy something that's up and running, and you might be able to create new value for them, and so if some of that stuff, a little bit about marketing, especially marketing, and then they're already profitable, but you see little things that you can tweak. You could buy this and maybe even double the business in 18 months. And
I'll give you an example right now. Okay, I have a business where it's placed just beautifully geographically, and the owner wants to retire. If he just opened an hour earlier every day, stayed open an hour later every night, he could get about 35 to 40% more in revenue.
Wow.
But, he's getting older. He's kind of tired. He just doesn't have the energy to do it. So here I'm selling what's already a thriving business, but I'm also showing buyers, look, all you got to do is this, and this is how much more profitable that business will become. So I'm selling the business and I'm showing the opportunity as well. And that was an easy one. But there are a lot of other businesses where people, you really need to show them what the opportunity is, or you get some buyers that really understand and they're like, I could add this, I could do this, and they get it. And those are just wonderful buyers to work with.
Yeah, I see the same thing when I talk to commercial, like real estate investors or multi-families, and they say, well, I can get a larger room. Because they buy on, especially ones that do syndication, that I'm going to get this deal, I'm going to drive up revenue, and then I'm going to refinance it. So they're, because you don't have to worry about the appraisal, it's a business you're buying, and if you can grow it, you can get your money back out. And because I know I have a lot of real estate investors listen to the show, And so it's kind of the same thing with buying a business, although I would argue that if you get a good business, it'll make more money than real estate.
Well, you have more control over it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, real estate, part of it depends on what's going on in the rest of the neighborhood, what other kind of development is there, what price did you get it at, how's the economy in general, where are interest rates. But if you have a business, that's something that's alive. It's not a pile of bricks. You know, you can really tweak that a lot. Moving back a tiny bit, talking about starting a business as opposed to buying a business.
Yeah.
Here, I think, are the two best people to start a business. Somebody who's in their 20s, they're not married yet, they don't have a mortgage. You know, that's the time to screw up and make mistakes, right? When you, right? You got a lot of room, a lot of wiggle room. The other time is somebody who owns a business, has a good income, they've got a good manager in their business, and they can say, you know what, I'm going to go off and try something I've always wanted to do. And then if they fail, hopefully they don't, but if they do, they still have that business. They still have that income. When I show somebody different franchises, I'm looking at a number of things. What kind of income do you want? What can you afford to buy? What's your skill set? What do you like to do? You know, I'm looking at something that's going to fit the family, fit the personality, fit the skills, fit the income, you know, requirements.
Right.
But I also want franchises that have a lot of units, that have been open for a while, and have good support. Because somebody is taking a lot of their nest egg and investing it in this, and I don't want to experiment with them. I want to give them something good and solid, because that's why they're buying a franchise. But now, suppose I have somebody that owns 6 or 7 McDonald's, and they've got a great income coming in, and they've got like a good machine, and they're interested in buying another franchise. Well, there's somebody I can say, hey, you want to roll the dice? I got a new franchise here. I have no idea if it's going to go or not, but it looks kind of interesting. They've only got 10 units. What do you want to do? That's somebody who can afford to roll the dice on a new franchise. It could be highly successful or it could flop.
And it's not as risky for them because they already understand the business model. Right.
So, you know, that I'm willing to take a chance with somebody like that, because there's somebody who may want to take a chance that can afford to. But most people who are buying franchises, they're buying a franchise because they don't want to take a chance. They want something that's solid.
So one of the things you said also was that, and I say this to people all the time, you said, well, what do you want to make? See, one of the things that I think people miss, because they'll say some stupid answer, oh, as much as I can, you know.
Yeah.
You know, that's the wrong answer. You know, I need specifics because I tell people, look, your financial plan precedes the business plan. Like you need to know what the business needs to do for you, what you want your lifestyle to be. Can this, I tell people, look, you know, what do you want to make? I want to make $100,000 net to me. I says, okay, well, that's $8,000 a month. Will the market bear that? One, and then how many of your widgets do you have to sell to do that? You know, and because I used to work with SCORE, you know, and they wouldn't let me on the, like I would just do workshops and like panel discussions because they didn't let me on the, you know, with the new people because I'm the party pooper, right? Because you come to me with some idea, I'm going to ask you like 3 questions and it's like, oh, you know, you're trying to kill my dream. No, I'm trying to save your butt from a nightmare because you're, you know, you don't, you know, I'm not here to blow smoke up your butt. I'm going to help you not build your ladder up against the wrong wall, you know, because you read some book and tells you to follow your passion, right? And nobody cares about your passion. The marketplace doesn't care about your passion.
Right. First, you pay your bills.
Right. You know, once you're financially independent, then you can self-actualize, and you know, you go paint on a wall, or you know, go get yourself a bed and breakfast or something. Once you're already rich, you want something that's going to lose money, but you have enough money to lose.
So, and that's, you know, talking about, oh, how much money do you want to make? I mean, that's a question I ask somebody because let me back up a tiny bit. I never make any financial claims about a franchise. Mm-hmm. It's a highly regulated sale. The FTC regulates franchise sales. I will talk to somebody because there are 300 or 400 franchises out there. I'll talk to somebody to try and narrow it down to 3 or 4 that they like. And then once we get there, I'll introduce them to the franchisor and they can make all the claims and the representation. One of the reasons I asked somebody, well, what do you want to make? 125,000 a year, 150, whatever. Well, if that's what they want to make, I'm not going to show them the lemonade stand. It's going to make them 30,000 a year.
Right.
So I just want to know that I'm going to be in the ballpark for somebody and not waste their time showing them things that they either can't afford or that don't bring them the income they're looking for.
That's a really good point. Can you name a couple of you don't have to by name, obviously, but like success stories of people you worked with, people, either people that maybe you want a couple that have sold and what you liked about them, and a couple people that have bought that have gone on and it was a really good fit for them.
Well, people that have sold, here's something I find is a lot of people might run a business for 20 or 30 years, and then they come to retire, they just kind of close it up. And it's, wait, you spent a lot of time building a valuable asset here. You've got the goodwill of customers. You probably have some equipment and other things, but what's really valuable is the vibrancy of the business, not the equipment. You can always replace equipment. So the success stories are people who are like, oh, it never occurred to me to sell. So suddenly, from the proceeds from that sale, they've got a lot more for their retirement than somebody who just closed the business up, sold up a couple, chairs and, old mimeograph machines or whatever. Right. So that's a success story, somebody who's realized, that. Then the other people who can offer seller financing, and they've created an income stream for themselves over, 3-5 years. I mean, whatever it's going to be. So those are the success stories. I mean, the people that have found income that they didn't realize, they had. The success stories in buyers, that really depends on what somebody wants. I had somebody who came to me who was in corporate. They were jetting all over the place. They were working for an international division of a fairly large firm. What their business goal is I just want to sleep in my own bed.
Okay, right.
The job I have now, I'm home like 100 days a year. He had a family. So the success there was not the specific business. It was being in control of his life. And that's really what a lot of business is about. Sure, it's making a living. And what I joke with people, it's like, you know what? I don't sell investments. I don't sell businesses. I sell jobs. What I do is I sell somebody an income that's going to be the income that they require to live their life the way they want to. Mm-hmm. The difference, though, between just a job and that is when they're done working that job, in quotes, it still has value. Whereas when you leave a job with, a Fortune 100, a Fortune 500 company, what do you have? Your last paycheck.
Right. And nothing to pass on, like either asset you can sell. Even if it's selling to your children.
Your kids, or most kids at this point, they're off on their own, with their own career or their own business. But you have something of value when you stop. It doesn't stop when you stop.
Yeah, exactly. Why do you think over the next few years, we talked about this a little bit last week, of the opportunity to sell and the opportunity to buy? It's
almost like you set me up. I was going to ask you if you had a minute. I want to let you know. Almost half of the workforce in the United States works for small businesses, what I call mom and pops or Main Street businesses. A little over half of them, I think 54% of them right now, are owned by baby boomers. These baby boomers are retiring, or they want to retire in the next few years. So you have an enormous number of businesses coming onto the market in the next few years. Well, one of the things that's going to do is lower the price of those businesses. Right? If you got one dry cleaner for sale, it's like, hey, it's like, this is the only one for sale, and you can drive the cost up. If you have 10 dry cleaners for sale, there's a competition. A buyer can drive the price down a little. So it's a great time to buy a business because you're going to see all these businesses coming onto the market in the next 5 to 10 years. They're already beginning to come onto the market. Here's sort of I'd call it a downside, but here's sort of the issue with it. A lot of these businesses they're traditional businesses. They're not what that much younger generation thinks are like really sexy, interesting businesses.
Right.
They're 22% of them are restaurants. They're dry cleaners. They're daycare centers. They're barbers and beauty salons. They're convenience stores. You know what? It may not be somebody's passion, but they throw off a lot of cash.
Right. And there are people that have put their families through that. My family came out of that. A little corner store, then 2 corner stores, then a supermarket, and then but everybody wants to be pretty now. They want a desk job.
People need to eat. People need haircuts. People need dry cleaning, and there are the things that people need, and you're never going to go broke with stuff like that.
That's a really good point. I think people miss that. I think that you're bread and butter stuff, and then just be good stewards of the money that you generate.
And you were talking about following your passion. I think that's some of the worst advice.
Yes.
That people ever get.
Don't get me started with that. Yeah.
You know what? Society needs people to do a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
And what I told my kids, I said, you know what? If you get a job doing something you really, really love, that's terrific. You're in like 2% or 5% of the population. What's just as important is getting a job or making a living doing 2 things: supporting your family, and the other is giving you the money and time to pursue what you love outside of your work.
Right.
So if I have something that allows me to do something I love, that's just as good as having a job or a business that's something I really love. And finally, when it comes down to it, no matter what that business is, it's still all about people.
Yep.
Any business is. So if you're a dry cleaner, I walk into dry cleaners, they know all their customers. They've had some customers for 25, 30 years. They know their customers' kids. So whatever that business is, it's still all about people. And hopefully, people are people's passion.
I was thinking about, we had a supermarket, right? So I remember this guy that if you go to like the dollar store, you see those little toys that are like those little packaged little dolls or little army men and that kind of stuff. So
I love them. I still love little army men.
he had a route of that, and we were just one person on his route. So I remember that it wasn't sexy, but I mean, at one point he was going to sell my dad a block. I remember I was probably like 10 or 12 when I heard this. So I might have it mentally exaggerated, but a block on like in Northern Liberties, like he owned the whole block of houses, So when you get the money, then you can buy apartment buildings, but you need to have something that generates revenue so you have money to invest. And so if you've got a high profit business, you can build a business. You can work on, maybe even thinking from a franchise perspective so that you don't work all the time. Just because if you got to open up an extra hour a day, like the other guy in the morning. Yeah. Well, okay, if you're going to pay somebody, let's say you pay them $15 an hour. That's $30 a day for you to generate another 30% of revenue. You see what I mean? So you've got to start thinking about, how can you improve this thing you got? Then you take your profits and then you buy other assets that generate cash flow. See, so the start of this is, folks, you got to get money coming in the door. Okay.
Exactly.
And that's what I've noticed, with people that are they're good stewards of their money. They're not just going out and buying new cars and, buying Teslas and all that kind of stuff because they look pretty on the outside, but they're broke as hell. And because I do their financial statement, so I know. And,
I know some people, they look like they're doing great, but they're living on the edge.
Right. What do they say in Texas? Big hat, no cattle. And, this has been fascinating. We got to do this again. How can they find out more about you, get in touch with you? If you're local to this area, I saw something. You can spend a minute on this also. Sure. Is that you've also added Centricity to your... Yeah.
Centricity is an online networking group. Mm-hmm. It saves the time of traveling back and forth to a networking meeting. And also there don't have to be geographic boundaries to that. Mm-hmm. So I facilitate a couple Centricity groups where we have business folks who, trade referrals back and forth, work together. And then also a group of people, each with individual skills, can go in and get business with a larger client than they could individually. because together they're larger, give more services.
Okay, so Robert can tell you more about that when you reach out to him. So how can they get in touch with you? If you're thinking, hey, I want to learn about this, franchise thing, or I'm looking to buy a business, or I got to sell my business, you should reach out to him. How should they do that?
Two things. They can give me a call. I'm always happy to take calls. I'm never in my office. If I'm in my office, I'm not working.
That's right.
So best number is 267-335-7835. Chances are you'll leave a message and I'll call you back. Okay. And the other is you can email me at rcurt, T as in Tom, ISS, at tworld, TWORLD.com. And if you email me, let me know what you want. I'll get back to you either by email or call. And I also have a couple, depending upon what you ask me about, I have a couple interesting articles I can shoot back to people about franchising or selling a business or buying a business.
Perfect. Also, I'm looking at his LinkedIn profile. So, definitely connect with him there and, message him. And that way you can keep abreast of what he's doing. This has been I love talking business. So this has been a great
interview.
I got a page of notes. I don't know about the rest of you. All right. And so let's keep this going. Any closing words of wisdom from your, or philosophy, so I can pull that out your hat, that you want to share with our listeners before I let you go.
Well, real quickly, this is an advertisement, but people should use a business broker, because if you want to sell your business, you want to see a trend line heading up for profits, not down. And if you're taking the time to sell your business and talk to prospective buyers and market it, you're taking time from your business.
Right.
So that's the reason to hire a business broker.
Thank you so much. And
thank you very much, Curtis. I appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And guys, so thank you for listening to another episode of the Practical Wealth Show, where we are all about money and how to create wealth outside of Wall Street. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks for listening to Practical Wealth. To access the show notes and resources, go to practicalwealthshow.com. To get your questions on the show, go to practicalwealthshow.com. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Before you make any investment decisions, consult a professional. This show is copyrighted by Practical Wealth. Written permission must be granted before syndication or rebroadcasting.